it all comes down to this. Game 6. And the Pappies fans out there will be hoping that the boys of Victoria's Secret can win one more game. Burrito versus Victoria's Secret is the matchup. Burrito needs to win to cause a 3-way tie. Victoria's Secret needs to win to put themselves and the Pappies through to the Pro League. Totally, it's anyone's game.
Pappies are screaming, let's go VS right now. They need this victory to go through. You know, they've been in the SPL in the last split. They didn't have the best results here. Slightly better than Burrito did, honestly. But at the end of the day, they need another shot in order to be able to try to better themselves in a competitive way.
New Game Plus definitely out of this one, but it's all about Burrito versus Victoria's Secret. This one's very important. It's the last game of the day. Potentially, if we can see Victoria's Secret win this. If Burrito win, we'll go into a 3-way tie scenario, which means they'll all play each other again in a tiebreaker. And if they all split then, we'll get down that path later on. We don't have to worry about that for now. We're way too early. It's only Game 6.
I mean, you say it's early, but it's already Game 6. And like we've seen so many different styles of games between long games earlier on in the day and then the last one only lasting about 26 minutes long because of a nice aggressive solo lane strategy just camping him out.
You saw the results there on your screen, the final game of match 6. Obviously, Pappies beat Burrito. They also beat New Game Plus. And obviously, Victoria's Secret, they beat New Game Plus as well as the Pappies earlier on. That's why they're all tied up. Now, Burrito's only on 1 win. They need the second win to tie themselves up with Pappies and Victoria's Secret. And that's the game we're going to go into.
There'll be 3 teams tied at 2-1. And because there'll be like a little triangle formation between everybody beating someone else, it's going to have to be just a tiebreaker of at least 2 more games, if that's the case.
Listen, it's unlikely. It doesn't happen very often. And if it does, well, we'll get to that stage when we get to it. But the first thing off is, can Burrito try and get themselves back into this now? Victoria's Secret looking very good today, Tolly.
Absolutely. Victoria's Secret, they have been performing probably, I would say, the best compared to everyone else here. And as we're going to head into picks and bans for what might be the last game of the day, we'll see. Crossing your fingers if you are Pappies here. But yeah, you really don't know. And that's the exciting thing about Relegations.
Well, picks and bans now on the screen. The first ban is going to be Kronos, take away hyper carries from Kespainify specifically for Burrito, I should say, rather than in response, taking that away from Victoria's Secret. And now it's back to Victoria's Secret again, who will take away Hell. Not a real surprise.
No, not a surprise at all. But to be fair to Kespainify, we saw what he was able to do against Game Hunter on that Kronos. Very selective ban by Victoria's Secret, really doing their homework, targeting out that Hunter.
Skadi pick here maybe for Victoria's Secret? No, the Morrigan slips through, gets picked up, and it's a nice position to be in. Victoria's Secret, that's a good pick to have.
Absolutely. There's so many different strategies of how teams want to execute their opening. It doesn't necessarily have to be the cookie cutter, you know, Raven maybe, or Kuka lane. You're really trying to set yourself up for the mid-jungle role. And by having Morrigan, now this also deters several picks, right? You don't want to necessarily have a Circuit on the enemy team to give Morrigan the same option.
Well, Victoria's Secret looking pretty solid. Odin and Morrigan for themselves, with the Geb picked up too for the support role. But Odin pretty good against Skadi for at least locking her inside that cage, keeping her pinned down. And Camazotz has a little bit of escapability. Obviously, his little short leap can help him, but also take himself out of the fight with the bad out of
That ultimate lasts forever from Camazotz, so it's a great escape tool and an offensive tool as well. And speaking of offense, one of the most aggressive supports you can ever want on your team, Ganesha paired up with Skadi, battling against a very defensive support on the Geb.
And Ganesha not going to be too worried about the ring either when you think about Odin coming into play here, because he can escape the ring with his charge. It does allow him to pass through objectives, so that will allow to come into play potentially in this game. Bellona, Freya banned by Victoria's Secret. Back to Burrito for their next pick. They're looking for probably a mid laner here.
What looks to be, unless you're going to run Skadi mid, it's not something that we've seen very often, at least recently. We've seen it. T-Money loves the Skadi mid every single time, but with Thoth locked in, that is guaranteed to be in the mid lane. A lot of long-range poke here from Burrito.
Yeah, a lot of mobility on this team too, and escapability with Thoth, obviously, with that amazing dash of his, Camazotz and Skadi too. They're lacking a little bit of engage, though, I want to say, in terms of CC potential. They're relying a lot on Ganesha here more than anything else for the engage and CC. They're going to need something in the solo lane to help them. They're against the Hoyi and Erlang Shen that have been filled out on Victoria's Secret's roster.
It's going to be very difficult to actually dive that Hoyi. You're dropping the Suns right on top of yourself. It's going to slow down the Camazotz and making his decision on whether or not he wants to dive a little more difficult. You were talking about CC here, right? Hindu man, but a Chaac is not something that provides too much CC.
You have a
slow
silence.
And a silence, which could be a knockup on top of that silence. But there were more options here. Hercules was available. Tier was available. A lot of teams, I feel, just not showing any love to that god.
Sure. Well, into game we go. Victoria's Secret versus Burrito. Obviously, Victoria's Secret are looking for the clean sweep here. If they can find this win, they would have beaten every single team that was in relegations. If not, Burrito will end on 2.
And looking at their team composition as opposed to Burrito, they certainly have the tools to do so. I would feel their team fights in the jungle should favor Victoria's Secret, but it seems like they're kind of a one-trick pony. You know, you drop the Odin ult, you drop the Hoyi ult, and, you know, Geb's going to follow up, and then hope that you get at least 2 kills off of those 3 ultimates.
We'll take into account with the Morrigan, played by Mr. Stefan this game, Victoria's Secret do have the potential to have any of the ultimates available from Burrito Esports. So Camazotz isn't the worst thing in the world, and neither is Thoth. And if it gets to the late game, Kespainify Skadi could look mighty tempting to turn into as well.
You gotta, you know, sometimes when you're fighting a bat, you gotta fight another bat with a bat. You know, like fighting fire with fire.
That makes perfect sense. And ice with ice, Skadi versus Skadi. That could also come into play too.
The permafrost, double permafrost. Imagine you had a Skadi on your team, and then you transform to that Skadi, and now you're just like making a bunch of Venn diagrams.
That could be quite fun, just to see how many different things.
I would love to see that interaction.
Me too. Well, what we did see at the start, though, FrostiaK started on the Odin, ran straight out of base with just 2 wards in his inventory, ran straight towards the fire elementals are there, and made sure that he took 2 wards down for himself, then went back to base. So he's got a bit more vision at the start of this game, and Dzoni getting poked heavily early on by Julio and FrostiaK. The minion's not really doing much, but luckily enough, he is a Camazotz.
He got the heal off from his second ability, but by investing into that instead of his first one, that gives the clear advantage to Victoria's Secret. Odin's base damage on his jump is quite high here, but look at Burrito. They want this invade.
Well, the blue's going to fall down. Oh, no, he's stolen away. Sibi managed to steal it, and now Julio's in trouble. Knocked up by Fusify, and Dzoni just going to pin him in. Body blocks come into play, and Julio will be first blood. Sibi on the Chaac gets it, and now they're going to look to steal the speed.
This is the same exact story as the last game when Poppies was able to just really focus out Vastrical, but this time around it's Julio that got in a lot of trouble.
A lot of trouble for Stefan there. Nice beads and turnaround play from him, but speed buff is stolen. FrostiaK still only level 1 after getting that first wave of experience in the solo lane.
So not only this game, but the last game is a perfect example of how you want to open up the solo lane side between your solo and jungle to control this side of the map and prevent your opposition from finding safe, easy farm.
Well, the funny thing is, Toli, is that a lot of the play used to be jungler used to go mid at the start of the game. But then we saw that by adjusting those mid harpies, we're seeing junglers starting solo a little bit more now as well, and potentially seeing supports come to the mid lane. That's why Burrito have that lead, because Fusify and DeathPanter, they started mid. Mr. Stefan didn't have LanceWolf with him. LanceWolf was in the duo lane alongside Spudio.
And it's also about how, or the timer that these minions meet in the middle of the wave. That's changed as well, allowing you to be able to clear the wave a little bit before the buffs spawn, and whichever team controls the blue speed side first, and if you can control all 4 on that side of the map, then you're setting yourself up for a really easy time on that side, which gives them even more control in the mid lane, because now FrostiaK's level 3, you're looking at level 4 for Dzoni, who's going to get that ultimate first, and he's going to be making a lot of offensive plays. And speaking of offense, we're talking about Sibi lacking crowd control, but when you're a 2-level lead compared to an Erlang Shen, you don't really need crowd control. You're just going to poke him out constantly, force him to back, and considering he doesn't have teleport and no Swift Wing, he's going to lose a lot of golden experience.
FrostiaK still being level 3, you know how far behind he is, because Geb is above him in levels right now. Having his jungle stripped has put him on the defense, and one thing you don't really want to be as an Odin is behind in levels if you can help it, because you're just going to turn into a walking ring, because that's all you're going to have available to you.
I mean, Odin's already pretty much an ult bot anyway, but Dzoni feeling very confident, 1v2. He actually jumped. He out-jumped the stun, preventing himself from getting CC, did all the damage in the world, And just like that, a free kill in a 1v2 scenario.
Get soloed. That's basically it, because FrostiaK couldn't do anything at level 3 there. He had nothing available to help out the poor old Morrigan at the start of this game. And now this is trouble, because Sibi's ahead, Johnny's also ahead, and everybody in Victoria's Secret's mid to right-hand side is now behind.
Now, to be fair, FrostiaK could have easily body blocked a lot of the in-hands potentially, but Camazotz does have some AoE cleaves. But look at this, Burrito, they're not done yet.
Kespainify is in a lot of trouble, and the bat will come into play, but LanceWolf will get credit. Bird Bomb coming out from FrostiaK onto Fusify, and Burrito have made some mistakes. The Puppies fans and the Victoria's Secret fans will be screaming with delight at that one, as it closes the goal gap to 1K and brings us back to a 2-2 scoreline.
Very important kills here. Both members in the duo lane of Burrito Esports taking a spill, allowing Victoria's Secrets now more farming opportunities here for Spudio. Considering he's a Hou-Yi up against a Skadi, you're really looking to make these plays early on to try to be the first one to pull the trigger on Gold Fury.
Sibi going to try and take on potentially 3 here around the blue and the red. 4 make that. Sibi going to ult, get a good silence off. Axe goes out, jumps towards it. 2 still chasing. Shell into play, and I think, Sibi, that's the end of your day. Johnny's going to come round, though. The blink and the knockup from Lance is good. Sibi's buying as much time as he can. There's the ult from Panther to secure 1, and Sibi will finally drop down. But they're in tatters. Victoria's Secret, they put everything into the Chaac, and the Chaac says, no, you damn roll, because it ain't in a solo lane.
Oh, Johnny, he tried to find the snipe onto Steph and hit. LanceWolf instead doesn't connect on the first ability, but 3 members took a spill just to kill the Chaac. That's level 6 here. FrostiaK, Julio, and LanceWolf. Great shot.
Surprisingly enough there, Tully, I think the big difference was actually mobility that Sibi had more than anything else that saved him there. The mobility and obviously the rain dance, he gets some protections from that a little bit, and the sustain. It comes into play that he had full boots online before that engagement.
The shell bought him a lot of time, and he also did a great juke of using his Axe Torrent combination, avoiding the stun coming out from Mr. Stefan to force him to just back on out here. He also did a really great job pulling back, or Mr. Stefan did, avoiding the Chaac ultimate by backpedaling there. Didn't want to get silenced or knocked up, but either way, more aggressiveness from FrostiaK. Despite being level 5, he's feeling himself a little bit.
And the good news for Burrito here as well is Johnny and DeathPanter both managed to pick up 2 kills each. Camazotz and Thoth with kills in the early game. Thank you very much. Burrito will be very happy about this as it stands.
Johnny having 100% kill participation. Whenever we speak of anybody from Burrito, we're usually calling out Johnny's name of making a lot of these early plays. He's been known to play a lot of these Awilishes as well. A lot of these early game gods and goddesses that could just make the impact out of the jungle role.
It's definitely a big poke versus all in team comp here. Sibi's axe wasn't great. LanceWolf has to cataclysm, but he's trapped in place. Fusify got a very nice knock-up off to confirm the damage from Sibi. Stefan trying to turn around some damage on the Camazotz that he turned into. He escapes the damage output coming over the wall from DeathPanter, but Spudio eats a lot. However, Sibi's in trouble, and Spudio gets a kill.
Great suns coming out. FrostiaK going to take a spill from Johnny. 1 for 1 thus far. Solo for jungle. But Burrito using some of these pools for Johnny to out-sustain. DeathPanter using the range. Spudio gonna go into the tier 1 tower.
Fusify's in trouble. Julio will pick up a nice free kill, just waiting in the wings for Johnny to go too far forward. 5-7 now as this one goes. This is still anyone's game. Surprisingly enough, though, Burrito are in the lead because of the gold more than anything else and those 2 kills. But they're still scrapping.
But let's look at the experience gap difference here. 3 levels for FrostiaK alone. Almost 4,000 collectively between these 2 teams. Julio still struggling a little bit, but that was a nice little kill that he just had here onto Fusify. He did force to use that sprint just to be able to get away from Johnny, who's been just an absolute nightmare this whole game.
FrostiaK still level 6, 3 levels down against Johnny as it stands. That was all down to the invades and what basically went wrong, and they could still 2v1 this, and that's with Sibi coming in. You can see FrostiaK and Julio like, no, don't really want to get involved in this. We would like to poke Johnny, but he can sustain back up anyway.
It's very tricky to try to stop the back from Johnny because he's just going to absolutely kill you. Sibi is here. He almost has his second point in that ultimate. It's going to be a bait, though.
Is a good bait for the bird bomb, but the bad news is Sibi can turn around some nice damage. Luckily, Julio got the heal off in time. Panther over the wall, though, and FrostiaK's one hit. And with that ultimate coming out from DeathPanter, that's another kill and another death for FrostiaK.
No hesitation from the mid laner out of Burrito Esports. Whether he's playing the Ho-Yi mid or the Thoth, he has a lot of flexibility in his picks and playstyle, giving Burrito Esports this crazy early game lead.
And look at Burrito just 4-manning that speed buff straight away, realizing they had the man advantage and the level lead to look to put pressure back on. Speed buff stolen, and now the blue is getting stolen on the right-hand side as well. Given over to Sibi once more. Poor old Julio, he ain't going anywhere. The turtle form won't keep you alive for long, especially when that man with that giant axe is just rolling away.
Considering that you're maxing out your second ability anyway, that turtle doesn't provide you enough of a health shield to be able to survive, so it's actually very easy to pick off an Erlang Shen at this stage of the game. Before the defensive items come online, before that turtle shell gets maxed out, Dzoni is just all over the place. 3-0-5 out of the 9 kills.
We mentioned, Toli, as well, the early game, you know, it's not as important anymore because it's very hard to snowball a game, but it's getting towards that point in a weird way. Tier 1 tower being down before the 10-minute mark, first of all. And then you look at where all the kills have gone. They've gone to the people you want it to. 3 members of Burrito versus the 2 of Victoria's Secret, which is the dual lane. It's dual lane of Victoria's Secret versus 3 members from Burrito, the mid, jungle, and solo.
Hu-Yi by himself will not outcarry 3 members from Burrito. That's been so successful. And with this tower gone, this gives even more solo lane pressure for Sibi to just be able to clear, rotate, start looking for some of these gold furies. And you were saying how difficult it is to snowball, but whenever you can find a successful invade and a first blood at the enemy blue, the whole game, the rest of the game should be your oyster.
And now you can see Sibi just happy to dance around here. Let Dzoni get a bit of free farm on the right-hand side. Dzoni now the highest level in the game, I should say, in the jungle position. It's a lie because Kespainify, who is on that Skadi, hit level 12, way ahead of Ho-Yi, who had those level lead for Spudio earlier on, and actually the kill lead. But now it's all about Burrito controlling the enemy jungle, stripping away the red buff, giving it over to Kespainify, and just looking to keep the pressure going.
And after that early death from Kespainify, after the red buff invade from Burrito, he was just quietly farming contempt about that, allowing Fusify to just make these rotations, and stoking up all this solo farm gives him a nice experience boost.
Well, the Morrigan poked out. Mr. Stefan gonna have to take a trip back to base because there's nothing in the jungle to farm, and even if he was, he doesn't have bombers either. But 4 members strong for Burrito and mid. The Hunters staying where they are on the left-hand side. Scratch that. Spudio now going to try and come over and slow this down, but there's a blink cataclysm from Lance. Catches Dzoni. Dzoni doesn't really panic just yet as the taunt comes out from Julio. Spudio over the wall with the Suns, but round the back comes Kespainify, and Spudio's going to run away too. Everybody survives, but ultimate investment from Victoria's Secret. Look at it. 4 down. Only 1 down from Burrito, and here we go again.
Sibi's going in. He's going to force out the beads and the ultimate here as Mr. Stefan is going to transform into that Camazotz just to escape that danger. Nice little defensive measures out of him. And I love the mindset from Burrito. They don't care about Gold Fury now. They know that they can win these team fights under the tier 1 towers because of the range and poke coming out of DeathPanter. He held onto his ultimate for so long until finally finding a nice little juicy target on that Morrigan.
But the big thing there is they didn't get the tier 1 tower. They did still strip the jungle again though. So winning the fights, it might not result in the towers, it still results in experience and gold gain.
Speed buff for Dzoni, blue for Sibi. Even though Chaac doesn't need blue buff, the fact that you're stripping it away from Julio means now he doesn't get the MP5, the cooldown reduction, or that important gold and experience this early in the game. Burrito Esports controlling all sides of the map.
I would have liked to maybe see Victoria's Secret start to focus to duo lane a little bit more now. But I think that's going to be quite tricky because I think Burrito are just on the warpath as it stands. Happy to go aggressive, look for picks, look for poke, as you can see from Sibi. So on the axes all day. And Sibi doesn't even care about farming, it seems now. He's not been to solo lane for a good, what, 3 minutes?
The tower is gone here, and as soon as he hits level 12, he's going to pick up that second relic, and he's going to be all over the place. Investing into Swiftwing gives you that extra 5% movement speed that you really want to use to your advantage, and just like that, a little bit of zoning from your support and soul laner equals free Gold Fury.
And it's just the rain. He drops the rain down after the axe. It slows them all down. If they want to get aggressive, he's still going to be in the way. 5,000 gold, but more importantly, 7,500 experience, and they're turning their attention to the pole Demon.
And I like this play because Burrito knows that Mr. Stefan's ult is down, and the threat that they had was transforming into the Thoth from DeathPanter and trying to steal this objective.
Julio around the corner looking to try and steal it, and he won't be able to. Burrito get it. FrostiaK removed from the map. The turtle is already down and being chased down by a bat as it stands. Spudio going to try and help him out. The heal comes through in time. Nice ricochet coming out from Spudio to stop Dzoni, but now he's going to turn tail because Panther was barreling down too. Meanwhile, Mr. Stefan pushed mid lane and will exit to the left-hand side.
He needs any sort of farm that he can get. He's 3 levels behind DeathPanter. That's not where you want to be as a Morrigan. You're really relying on your late-game power spike to be able to sneak up to somebody with the stealth and then try to two-shot them. But considering he's at this big of a deficit, just now finishing off Spear of Magus, he will always be split-pushing, I feel, from here on out.
Look at Dzoni. Wrapped around the back, hiding there, just waiting for Victoria's Secret to step up and potentially contest that tier 1 tower. Just by him being there, they take it away for free.
It's going to allow a split push from Mr. Stefan on the left-hand side. However, we were talking about him wanting any sort of farm he can get, but now he's putting himself in a really awkward position because DeathPanter and Kespainify are right around the corner.
Got him through the tower. It gives vision, so they know exactly where he was. He's forced to ult into Camazotz, leap away, and then ult 2. He will survive, but that was an ult. I wouldn't say wasted because he really needed the farm tool. It was a good job escaping.
Absolutely, but like again, we mentioned how Burrito takes advantage of Mr. Stefan's ult being on cooldown. That's why they started that goal fear in the first place. The fear of Mr. Stefan going in the Thoth just to be able to steal away that goal fear is too high. But once they forced out the defensive Camazotz ultimate instead, that's the opportunity Burrito are always going to be exploiting.
Now, if you are just tuning in, this is the final game of the actual relegations. The news is, however, is that 3 teams are in contention for being the #1 team to go through. Victoria's Secret, Burrito, and the Pappies. If Burrito wins this game, we have a 3-way tie. If Victoria's Secret win this game, they go through to the Pro League alongside the Pappies. As it stands, Toli, it's looking good for Burrito fans right now, and we're going to be here a little bit longer.
10-5 read the kills. Heading into the 16-minute mark, it's about a 6,000 goal lead, 6,500 actually. Sibi, though, doing a good job zoning here, but Goldfear is not responding for another 2 minutes. This is the play that Burrito makes just to be able to strip away buffs and go for the tier 1 tower.
And this stripping of buffs isn't just hurting everybody, it's specifically hurting the jungler even more. FrostiaK, level 10, now 4 levels behind that. This is where Odin is rubbish, right? When you are this far behind, you can't really do anything as an Odin. It's very much like an Ares too in my eyes in support. If you get that far behind, there's not a whole lot you can do apart from die.
It's not the same as his Hunbats that he's played before earlier today, because if a Hunbats gets behind, you can always make a lot of good plays with the Blink, Fear No Evil. Thor can set up for his teammates as well. Odin can set up with that ring, but it's a Hou-Yi ultimate to set up. It's not, you're not looking at a Vulcan setup.
Blink Cataclysm catching Fusify and Sibi in trouble, but they are 2 tanks and they are equal level, if not higher. Spudio forced out as Dzoni is going to focus towards FrostiaK, forced to leap away as well. Julio wasn't available for that engagement, and you can see 2 ults down from Victoria's Secret, 2 down from Burrito, but Burrito aren't really done yet. There's not much for them to do other than keep poking away.
The red buff is about to respawn, and that's exactly what they're going for. Even having Dzoni trying to wrap around behind where the back harpies are on the left-hand side. They're just waiting for anybody to get low enough to allow Camazotz to make that play happen.
This is one of the best games I've seen Burrito play in a long time right now with how it stands. They have to keep this momentum going though. Ring from FrostiaK, Bird Bomb on Sibi. Sibi removed from the map. Fusify still running and 2 kills in quick succession to Victoria's Secret. Hang on, hang on, hang on. We might have a little bit of life out of these guys.
This is something that Victoria's Secret desperately needed. It's going to delay the offensive push coming out of Burrito, but at the same time, there's not really much that they can exploit with this 2-man lead. They're not going to push a tier 1 tower. Gold Fury is still down for another 23 seconds. It looks like Burrito, they don't really mind this deficit of 2 players, considering that they could just learn from it and use it in the next team fight.
I think the thing is, we're looking at what just happened there. Sibi and Fusify getting caught out reminds me a lot of the Pro League last year. You make small mistakes like that, you generally get punished harder. Luckily enough, when that happened, there was nothing for Victoria's Secret to look to do on the map because everything was already down. Talking about being down, Dzoni will once again take that speed buff. It's basically his secondary speed buff, as it would seem.
The control coming out of Burrito has just been so dominant. Victoria's Secret has has not been able to successfully respond yet. In the last set, we saw how New Game Plus really tried to go for these sneaky Gold Furies and sneaky Fire Giants, recognizing just how far behind they really were. It actually hurt them more than it helped, and that's probably why we're not seeing Victoria's Secret go for this Gold Fury or even go for the Fire Giant.
Now, the one benefit about being behind experience-wise is you can always climb back in by just lasting as long as you can. But at 9,000 experience, it's still a climb, and you're probably going to need, what, 26, 27 minutes totally to try and even that up when everyone's 20?
Probably even 30, 35. Really? Considering how far pushed they are. Like, you can't even safely farm your own side of the map. If you don't have the vision, you can't even leave. There's no tier 1 mid, no tier 1 in the solo lane. Any sort of extension is a risk.
FrostiaK goes in too late and hits the slip and slide and then finds a quick way back to base. Sibi on zone duty, and now he's going to charge straight in. LanceWolf caught in an awkward spot. Body blocks and pinned in place, gets a Cataclysm off, but the only way back is the wrong way, and he goes straight into Kespainify and DeathPanter. 2 kills and a Gold Fury, and Burrito haven't let up the pressure just yet.
Unfortunately, Mr. Stefan was in that mid lane trying to farm. The calls just aren't really calculated collectively. Mr. Stefan clearly wants to farm. The rest of his team was trying to stop the Gold Fury attempt. There needs to be the same page for all these members.
I'm looking at Stefan, I'm looking at Spudio. They've not died yet. I mean, you've seen Stefan die, tell a lie, but they're the ones with the kills right now. They are the carries. You need a big play out of him because your tanks are not doing anything right now. And I think we're just going to lose fire unless Spudio can save it. Nope, not to be. Dzoni will pick it up and leap away. And now the chase is on to try and bring down his life as well.
Dzoni has ultimate. He has the damage necessary. And he also has the escape mechanic if he does get trapped in that cage. Julio is going to be able to split push and get at least 500 gold for his team efforts on the left-hand side. But even more gold for Burrito on the right with this Portal Demon.
This really feels like since that tier 1 went down, Sibi showed what a solo laner can do without going to just continue farm and continue the pressure in solo lane. It shows that if you do rotate, you can put pressure on the map that is being felt by the whole team then. And not just, you know, keep the 1v1 against Julio up. It actually helps the whole team as a unit.
So Sibi is playing the solo lane exactly the way it's meant to be played. He is not playing like this ranked all-star solo lane. It's like, oh my god, I got an early game lead. I'm going to stay in this lane no matter what and just constantly force my enemy solo laner to be 0-10. Sibi's actually just now hitting level 14, whereas Julio got it first, which means Sibi's thinking more in the team mind aspect, just trying to make sure DeathPanter and Kespainify are going to carry, considering Sibi already got that carry role in the early game.
And look at the carries as well. Here we go, Sibi pinned in place, and Julio goes straight to the back looking for Kespainify, but Fusify says, no, not today. Bird bomb from FrostiaK, and the ring is dropped, but no one cares about an Odin when you're that low level, son. Run for the hills, because you're going to have to, because the bat is chasing, and the secondary bat isn't on your team, but that's in trouble too.
Using the Aegis to try to survive a little bit longer. 3 dead.
This looks
for
over,
Victoria's Secret. Tier 2 is going to fall very quickly. Mid Phoenix will surely fall shortly after. LanceWolf and Spudio are the only 2 remaining members, and they're nowhere close.
I don't know about ending here.
No,
I mean,
absolutely
there's still
not.
2 towers up, 2 towers.
FrostiaK is coming up in 10 seconds. Julio to follow up. You need to get at least both of these towers out to make sure this Titan is not going to melt your team, because even though Burrito have a very comfortable lead, 12,000 to be exact, gold-wise, you don't have the items quite yet. You're probably sitting on a lot of gold in hand. 1,500 for DeathPanter, 13 for Kespainify. These late game penetration items needs to be completed before going for the Titan.
Well, you mentioned the penetration. It is starting to come through slowly but surely. Most of Kespainify's build has been quite defensive, but he's not really needed it this game, it feels. Went for the Shifter's Shield, which is one of the ones we've seen on quite a few Skadis, because you expect to take a bit of damage, but not needed.
It's more about the base physical power that you're going to get to try to allow Kaldir to do a lot of damage, as well as your permafrost and your line skill shot, just to be able to get these abilities off and then allow Kaldir to just do work.
2 level 19s, one is a Camazotz and one is a Skadi. And if you're a Burrito fan, you'll be happy to hear that they're both on your team right now and keeping Burrito in contention to get through and back into the SPL.
But not happy right now is Poppies, because they needed Victoria's Secret to win this to avoid a 3-way tie.
I'll tell you now, where everyone asking in chat, when did the Poppies play? Probably after this game in a 3-way tiebreaker. That's what I'm expecting, because Victoria's Secret have a mountain to climb in this game. The good news is, and I'll keep saying it, they do have a Morrigan, and the Morrigan is a game changer, especially when she can turn into somebody on the other team. And that could be a Thoth late game ultimate. It could be a Camazotz that just takes out the carries. I don't know.
He hasn't done it quite yet, but Thoth would be ideal here. You're really looking for the surprise ultimate, because if Mr. Stefan could take out DeathPanter, now you have a pretty easy 5-on-4. But considering DeathPanter now has this Book of Dead, he has a good enough of a health shield to absorb this incoming damage.
3 members group, blink cataclysm from LanceWolf, and LanceWolf's in trouble and he's dead by Dzoni. Still the Phoenix stands as FrostiaK pins Sue in place. Big old ult from DeathPanter forces FrostiaK to leap away, but he's still going to go down to the doggy that Kespainify had alongside him. Julio now going to be zoned away as Dzoni will pick up the kill on him, and the second Phoenix will fall here, Toli.
3 dead from Victoria's Secret. Mid Phoenix fell earlier, right side Phoenix, and now the Titan to follow up. Dzoni trying to find another kill, and his team will now force a 3-way tie.
Tiebreakers, 18-7. Good work from Burrito. Commiserations to Victoria's Secret and Pappy's getting qualified there, but now we get to see all 3 of those play against each other in best of ones again.
It's going to be such epic Smite action here. As if the whole day wasn't epic enough. Now, finally, we're getting to see even more. And considering how this meta has been shifted just from today alone, from long games, focusing out mid to dual lane, to now focusing out solo lane, which equals a shorter game. We could see different strategies now.
So we'll see what happens in this, but as it stands, the only one that's out of this is New Game Plus. But let's have a little look at that Camazotz play coming out from Dzoni or Johnny, whichever way you want to put it.
And Johnny was just making so many plays. He was in a 1v2 spot here. DeathPanter was coming around the corner, but it didn't matter. FrostiaK, he could have probably looked for some body blocks, and this is where Johnny was actually trying to kill Mr. Stefan, but LanceWolf, being the true support he is, took a bullet for his teammate.
And now just hanging around in the back once again. You can see he's just hanging, waiting for the right opportunity. He sees FrostiaK and went, well, lol, level 5, thanks very much. Next on the list, lol, level 7, well, you better run away with your little pooch too. And
waiting for the health that he gets from those pools, really using the god to its fullest potential.
Oh, is this a surround? No, it's not. This is just LanceWolf going down another time. Victoria's Secret didn't look great in that game, but they've looked good all day. I mean, they won the last 2 games they played in against the other opposition, Pappy's and New Game Plus. But here, they just couldn't find anything against Burrito.
And this is the difference between being a challenger circuit team and a true SPL caliber team. You're not always going to be put in a winning position. Sometimes you're going to have to battle for it from a deficit. And unfortunately for Victoria's Secret, they couldn't find the right keys to success.
Well, we're going to have to see how this one plays out next, because it's going to keep on going. We're going to go to a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to come back with exactly the tiebreakers of the 3 teams. New Game Plus are out, but we've still got 3 remaining. After the break, we'll find out who makes it.